Whether it's blockbuster movies, serialized TV shows, or sporting events, compelling stories and memorable characters are the key to delivering thrilling entertainment. Overwatch's developers have achieved this by creating a vibrant, welcoming world filled with unique heroes that people can identify with. And the similarity between the game's attack versus defense dynamic and traditional sports anchors those with little to no knowledge of the game to the action. But this represents experiencing competitive Overwatch at its most superficial. To pull viewers in deeper, the responsibility falls on the Overwatch League's production staff to guide everyone through the hectic moment-to-moment action, to forge dramatic stories for them to follow, and create personalities to love or hate. In this episode, we're going behind the scenes at the Blizzard Arena to find out how Overwatch League is making competitive esports matter to everyone.
Well, I think there's multiple elements to the at-home viewership experience that have to be considered when you're talking about Overwatch League. Obviously, first and foremost, it's making sure that the spectator experience of the game is easy to follow. And that comes in a lot of ways. Obviously, the best thing that we have is amazing broadcast talent. Really amazing men and women who can talk about the game and explain it to you and make it exciting to watch. So we're very lucky in that regard.
It is so difficult to watch Overwatch unless you actually play the game and have an idea of what the hell's going on. And I think that's also part of the adventure and the challenge that I was really interested in. And so how do you tell that story on the fly of what people should be paying attention to? I think that's why commentators are very important in Overwatch League, because we're the ones who are kind of trying to point out for the casual viewer, okay, this is what you need to be watching right now and this is why.
So in order for the audience to really understand what they're seeing, it's a very fine line we have to walk, because we know that a big part of the audience are hardcore gamers. They don't want to be talked down to. But then we also have a whole new audience, new players, people who are not very familiar with it. We don't want to overwhelm them with abbreviations and very specific lingo.
And so you have to be able to talk about specific examples and give real in-depth analysis that makes people learn and understand and appreciate what the pro players are doing and how complex it is. We wear quite a number of hats when we're on the analyst desk, so the balancing of that is the challenge, but also the thing that's really exciting about it, the fact that you get to be able to be a bit of an educator, a bit of a teacher.
There was a lot of discussions we had internal between the casters and the analysts. There was a lot of back and forth where we tried to help each other, like, hey, if you were a casual, would you understand if I say it like that? So there was a lot of practicing prior to actually broadcasting to make sure that we're hitting that fine line.
Every traditional sport as well has terms that you wouldn't understand the first time watching it. And because there isn't 100 years of Overwatch League being around, it's more on us to try and explain those terminologies as we use them. So we've had various segments on the desk, for example, where we talked a lot about the meta, what 6 heroes the teams will normally use because they consider that to be the best 6 heroes at this time. We had a little explainer on the desk, you try and make it light so that people don't feel like they're being lectured to, but instead they feel like they're just learning something whilst being entertained.
We, of course, also take a lot of feedback from the audience. We see their responses, we see it on various different social media and on websites. That's the beauty of the internet, right? We can see exactly what they think and how much they understood of what we actually said, so we could fine-tune it day by day, really.
For all the effort Overwatch League's highly knowledgeable casters and analysts put into telling the viewers what they're seeing, for people to truly grasp the nuances of the players, their characters, and their strategies, the task falls on the observers, a group of people that are behind every decisive gunshot, at the front of every tide-turning push, and in the center of each team-wiping ultimate. And just like the heroes competing in each match, the observers have their own set of challenges to overcome.
My name is Jason Baker. I'm the lead observer. I direct and switch all the game footage that you see on broadcast. The observing team runs like a team. They're all calling out what they see on their screen. They're calling out what's important.
Give me a white on 4.
Gesture on 4, he's in the fight.
Prophet, give me Prophet on 4.
On 4. I have Libra on 4.
Mono chasing, mono chasing. Blue grab is
We watch a lot of the games. The teams let us in their scrims, so we get to see how they practice and how they prepare. After 2 or 3 matches, we know what a player's going to do before he does it.
Prophet has pulse. Gesture raging in the back. Gesture on 4. Rage on 4.
The challenges to trying to show all the action in a game like Overwatch is huge. Just like real sports, you can't show everything. You can't show what all the tackles are doing and all the blockers. You have to highlight the big moments, the important areas.
The thing that the game team does is we try to build a lot of technology and put a lot of design work into making the game look as good as possible. And by good, I don't mean like, hey, the art looks amazing. I mean, look as clear as possible that you can always tell which team is Dallas and which team is Seoul. And it's very clear to me at an immediate read that I know exactly which team I'm looking at and what hero they're playing. So we put a lot of work into the camera. We put a lot of work into team colors, team uniforms.
Overwatch really went out of their way to improve their spectating tools to not only let us chase the action, but show the viewer who they're watching. There's no guessing of, oh, it's the red team. Is the red team my team that I like? The replay tools are amazing. We can go back at any time during a match and get a moment and watch it from a different angle. We can slow it down. I've never been a part of a game that we're able to do that live. We're able to, in the middle of the game, just go back and grab anything and slow it down.
Like the directors of a movie, the observers are the invisible hand guiding the action as you see it, framing each pivotal moment so that viewers understand and remain engaged in what transpires on screen. But they also take what happens both within the game and outside it to craft narratives for viewers to invest in.
Trying to blend action and storytelling in a match is a delicate balance, and it's something that we play with every broadcast. So you don't want to show too much action and too little story, or too little action and too much story. Sometimes there's a storyline that you want to tell. This player just got traded to a new team. You want to highlight this player because now he's playing against his old team and you want to see that drama. But now their other tank is really stepping up and playing way better than they've ever played. So now you're focused on this other tank. This new storyline emerges. Trying to tell a full story throughout a broadcast or a match is very important. We meet with the talent before games and we talk about players and big moments and things that they want to talk about and things that we've seen and trends. Between maps, I go in and talk with the talent and say, hey, we're noticing this guy's playing very defensively. Or they'll say, hey, we want to see more overhead view on this map. Or we want to see this guy's tracer. We want to see how Zarya is doing on this meta. So we just constantly talk back and forth and we just try to tie it together.
This collaborative effort extends beyond just the observers, the analysts, and the players to include the Overwatch development team. Overwatch League is built on a competitive experience that continues to evolve. It's subject to constant tweaks, the introduction of new characters that create entirely new gameplay dynamics, and the creation of new tools to improve the spectating experience. And Blizzard doesn't make these tweaks in isolation. It seeks out multiple perspectives to best serve its casual players, pro players, and viewers across a broad range of experience levels.
What's up, everyone? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team.
It relies on feedback from the massive Overwatch community, expert analysts, and the production staff to shape all aspects of the game and the league.
It's actually really special how close Blizzard and the development team from Overwatch is working together with the Overwatch League. It adds a lot. They basically sit down and try to be the viewer themselves, like what do they want to see from the game? And if they see something in the interface, for example, like that's a bit confusing, maybe there are too many numbers, they then tweak it from their own experience as a viewer. So they're really not just looking down at things, like they're inside of the whole thing, which makes it very special.
I think a big challenge of the Overwatch League is the fact that the game that's being played is still being developed and still evolving. I don't look at it as a problem, I look at it as an opportunity. It's very cool to have the ability to watch a stage of Overwatch League and talk about what should we iterate on, and have a community that's very open to us making change for the better, as long as they believe that we're making those changes for the better. So when it comes to adding new characters, I know one way to look at it is like it's adding a whole new set of rules to the game, and there is definitely complexity there. There's something for our viewers to have to learn. There's something obviously the players have to learn to master it. I look at it a little bit differently. Like when you think about traditional sports and the eras that go through traditional sports and the name players, like the ones that you really remember who stand out in history, the Wayne Gretzkys, the Hank Aarons, you know, they redefined the game in the way that they played. And while our players, our professional players, are really the Wayne Gretzkys in my mind, I think the heroes add a little bit of that element as well, because we're gonna add a new hero. There's a particular player who's gonna rise up on that hero, and it's gonna be a very exciting moment, I think, for our fans. There's a lot of things that we can do as a game that's being viewed competitively that cannot be done in traditional sports. And I think rather than shying away from it or focusing on those differences, we should look at the opportunities that we have and sort of capitalize on those.
Unbelievable! Just not missing a single shot, all headshots, all headshots!
The difference between a broadcast of traditional sports and esports at this point, I think sports wants to be us. They want to be as connected as the fan base as we are. I can go in eyes of any player at any moment. I can go back in time and see any play from any point of view. They can't do that. I have instant gratification of, I see a chat, I can hear the fans, I can actually tune my broadcast because they're cheering more for one team, so I can actually make the arena go crazy with the broadcast.
With the development team taking such a big part in the development of the league and the viewing experience, it just makes it feel like they really care, and they do generally care. They want everyone to have a good time. They want us to enjoy the game. They want us to enjoy watching the game, and that makes a world of difference.
For investors, this will no doubt have been attractive, especially considering Blizzard's initial pitch was an idea without a product to show for it.
On the next episode of this series, we speak to some of the people with the biggest stakes in the Overwatch League, the team owners who have invested millions in purchasing franchises, and the managers and coaches who dedicate their lives to running them.